Hey, and welcome to the Q-SYS Control and UCI Fundamentals training. My name is Jacob Hunter. I will be your presenter for the next few videos of this training. This is the first of 3 trainings that are going to revolve around Control and UCI. Now, this is the fundamentals one. There's also going to be an intermediate one that will come up next, and then there will be an advanced training. Those will have different presenters, so don't worry. Now, we also are joined by 2 very familiar faces. We have Nathan McCarrick and Patrick Hine.
Hi there, friendly faces in the back here. Yes, we are here to support Jacob as the primary presenter for today's class.
We're going to act sort of as teacher assistants, and we're also going to throw in extra little bits of knowledge and information along the way, so hopefully we don't get too annoying on you. Just as a reminder, this is a fundamentals class. This is really for people who may have not really had a lot of experience in Q-SYS at all. If you've taken level 1, that's great. If you've taken Control 101, then you will definitely see some overlap in that course and in what you're going to learn here. So if you have taken either of those courses, you may find that you already know a lot of this. I mean, still stick around. You know, you may still find it's pretty useful.
Yeah, it's always good to reinforce, and in fact, you know, every once in a while you're gonna want to refresh training in general. So that's just basically a good general rule. And this training kind of has the ability to evolve. So even when we're taping this may end up having more content. So it's always a good idea after you complete any training to circle back.
Yeah.
Now, let's see what we have been tasked with. ABC Integrator is proposing to install a new state-of-the-art bring-your-own-device conferencing system for the really good business conference room. ABC will install 2 cameras to allow for pickup of all participants in the room. Users will be able to wirelessly present or connect up to 2 laptops to the system. A ceiling-mounted microphone will pick up everyone in the room. 4 new loudspeakers will be installed to provide crystal clear audio to participants in the room. To make control simple, an easy-to-use touch panel will be installed at the table. In addition, users will be able to connect with their phones to control the system. To help a really good company's IT department support this state-of-the-art room, the room will automatically report the status of all devices to the cloud.
So in this course, the context of what we're doing for all 3 of the versions of this course is we're building out a conference room. A pretty simple conference room that has some pretty simple control needs. And our goal is to give control of those things in the room to the end user via a user control interface, or UCI, on a touchscreen controller, like this one here. That's the goal. Put those controls in their hands so that they can control the lights and the shades and the video distribution and things like that.
And by the way, making it as seamless for them as possible. We're gonna do the yeoman's work on the programming side, and they are going to benefit from all of that knowledge.
Correct.
Now, let's think about what is in the room. Well, when I see something like this, I like pulling out the action points. What are those pieces of this description that are going to give me a clearer idea of what we're working with, particularly in the idea of control and what we'd want to be putting onto a UCI for our average end user in that room? So here we have, look at that, we already did it, perfect. So everything in green, that's our action item. Those are the things that we're going to be focusing on as we start building out the control and our UCI.
Now, this version of the class is going to do it all with control components. Those are native, basic, simple function logic blocks that exist inside Q-SYS Designer. And then the next version of the class, the intermediate version, will take a little step up and go into the world of coding using the block controller, which is a visual scripting coding tool that lets you write all of the more complicated things that code can do without having to worry about the syntax of understanding how to write code. And then the third version of the class is the advanced version. That is where you will be doing full-fledged Lua scripting, where you will just be diving deep and writing out line code line by line. So you kind of take your choice of which one suits you best and what is more familiar for you. And hopefully all of them will be useful to you.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. They can be taken based on your own knowledge, but you know, there are certain people that will benefit from taking them in serial.
Absolutely.
To help reinforce those concepts.
Yeah.
As if you, especially if you're starting from almost 0, then kind of seeing how the most basic level to do it, and then intermediate and advanced. They're aptly named, actually.
Yeah, and all the courses kind of cover the same material in different ways to do it. So you'll learn different ways of accomplishing the same tasks.
It's not Groundhog's Day. We've done it by design like that.
All right.
So first thing we have there is BYOD, right? They're bringing in their own devices, so we need to make sure we're going to be able to have hookups for that and be able to give them some sort of control over those pieces as well once they are connected.
And Jacob, if I may, you just said that this is for BYOD, but there's nothing about what we're about to show you that can't be incorporated into the other certified solutions that we have for Microsoft Teams rooms, Google Meet, and Zoom. All of these things are completely applicable to all three of those platforms.
Yeah, you can deliver the control for the room to those platforms as well. And under the hood inside Q-SYS, nothing's going to change. You're still going to control those other elements of the room in the same way that you're going to learn here.
That's exactly right. We also have 2 cameras, so those are going to be ours, probably like a left camera and a right camera within the room. We also need to have the ability for our users to wirelessly present. So that means that we're going to have some sort of wireless presentation device. Now, we don't make anything like that, so in this case, we're going to be using a third-party device. So we'll need some sort of plug-in or user component in order to establish control over that. So we'll have to keep that in mind. We also are going to have 2 laptops that we're going to be bringing in, so we're going to want the HDMI connection for those as well. We're going to have a ceiling-mounted microphone. Well, actually, we're going to change that up. We're not going to use the ceiling-mounted microphone in this case. In this one, we're going to use an NMT1 instead, so that'll be ours. Then we're going to have 4 new loudspeakers, so those will be ours as well. We're going to need that touch panel, obviously. We're going to need to give them the ability to connect with their phones. And last but not least, we'll want to make sure everything is reported to the cloud via Reflect.
Reflect, by the way, if I may, I want to remind folks that it is an intrinsic part of the Q-SYS platform. It sits at the very heart of it and can be used to do things like remote monitoring, management, and depending on when you're watching this video, a whole lot more. Spoiler alert. But remember that there is really no reason that you shouldn't be putting Reflect on every system, because Reflect at its core is effectively free. And if you want to engage on higher tier things, you can engage on the paid subscriptions. But Reflect is part of Q-SYS, so use it.
Reflect at its core, that's just a solid pun right there.
It's almost like I wrote it like that.
I don't think you did, though.
No, I didn't.
Now, before we get into the actual design itself, let's take a look at a topographical layout of what it is we just talked about right now. So here we have, piece by piece, everything that's going to be in the room hardware-wise. We're going to be working specifically with an NV32H in core mode. That will be our core. We're going to have our 2 laptops and our wireless presentation device connected via the 3 HDMI ins for our NV32H. We're going to make sure that those 2 HDMI outs are used for the 2 displays in the room. Then, over the network, we have our NS series switch that is going to be connecting our left camera, our right camera, our TSC70G3, that's our touch panel that we're going to be using. We also have our NMT1 mic. That's the one that's replacing that ceiling microphone that I previously had mentioned. We're not using that. Here we're using the NMT1 microphone.
That's right. You use the mics we want you to use rather than the mics you want to use. Why? Because if we use the NMT1, that's easier than updating the PowerPoint.
Now, we also have an amplifier and our 2 loudspeakers that we mentioned. We're going to be splitting the audio out from the displays to those loudspeakers so we can give our really good business some really good audio. We'll also have the lighting control that we need to establish and the shade control. And then last but not least, we want to remember that everything is being reported to the cloud via Q-SYS Reflect. Now, that's what we've got going on hardware-wise. Let's actually take a look at the design. If you haven't already, make sure you download the file that is just below the video. That is going to be the design file that we're going to be working with throughout the rest of the class. So you can also use that same file for the other 2 classes, but we'll focus on this one first.
Jacob, I can't download the video because I'm inside the video. Can I reach out of like the YouTube screen they're watching it on right now?
Maybe he's like Neo and he's kind of like omnipresent and he can download it because
That's what it is.
Everybody download the file and then join me in the next video. Not in the actual video like Patrick and Nate, but you get the idea. All right, see you there.